Tony D and Little Joan somewhere in the house, and it's very late, so I'm going to do um, video on book publishing. Now, a friend of mine asked me about books, and that I'm publishing. Why am I self-publishing? Will a publisher one day pick you up and publish your books? Was kind of the implied question, and I was like, no, that's probably never going to happen. Not the publishers that people think they are. There are some publishers out there that maybe I could work with that have a little bit of money, but most publishers that are going to publish fiction and narratives and like quote unquote real books, a lot of them don't have any real money. Like the big publishers, the ones that could afford to shower you with riches, let's say. And this is one of the reasons you shouldn't be, you know, building your business model on someday somebody's going to lift me out of poverty, is because book publishing has become kind of a scam, if you don't know. And I may have alluded to this before, but this is what I've heard, and I've heard some stuff behind the scenes, and it goes something like this. Most of the major book publishers, from what I understand, and maybe I'm wrong, I'm just telling you my opinion, I've heard through people who've worked in the industry that a lot of what they do is to target, obviously, books they think could sell. Now, because of the current woke trend, that trend is very woke stuff right now. So there's that. But that's not really selling. To some extent, a small extent it is, but for the most part, it doesn't really sell. Where the big money is in laundering money. And so what I've heard is it goes something like this. Let's say there is a politician or a person in power that is going to take what essentially boils down to a bribe. You can't bribe him out in the open for various reasons. So what they do is they put together a book deal, right? So say you have this entity that wants to send a senator, let's say, $500,000, but they can't just send him $500,000. That's a bribe. It's illegal. But what they do is they go to a book publisher and they say, we'd like you to publish a book about the life of this senator. Hire a ghostwriter, send him over there to interview the senator one day, and publish the book. And we're going to guarantee you that we're going to offset some of the cost, and we're going to buy enough copies to make it profitable for you. So they do that, and they sign a contract with the senator, of course, that he's going to get a percentage of it, and they hire a ghostwriter, some guy like me, who would write the book, and for a flat fee, of course. And they get the book written. It's a book nobody really wants. It's not being written because anybody wants it. It's being written to launder this money, essentially. And then they publish the book, and it's one of those hardcovers that you see in bookstores, a beautiful bound hardcover book. And the entity that was to bribe the senator rushes out and buys 250,000 copies on the first week to drive it up to, say, on the New York Times bestseller list or the Amazon seller list or whatever. So it looks like it's selling a lot of books. And because it looks like it's popular, some people do actually buy it because people are very much a herd mentality. In fact, RJ over at the Fourth Age has a video about that very subject today. So they do sell some of the books, but they won't sell very many because nobody really wanted it, and nobody's interested in the life of a senator, really, unless, with some exceptions. And then eventually the bribing entity that's sitting on 250,000 books, maybe they try to sell off some of that inventory. Maybe they sell 10,000, 20,000, or whatever. They're really stuck with over 200,000 books, and where do they go? Well, they end up in these book warehouses for pennies on the dollar, and they eventually end up in bookstores. And that's when you go to the bookstore and you see a hardcover book that's 80, 90% off. And you go, wow, what a great deal. But it's a book nobody really wanted or asked about. it's some biography of some boring senator. It was all done just to launder some money his way and make everybody in the pipeline a little bit of money on the sly, including the book publisher, right? And it makes the book publisher look good, and the only person that's kind of screwed is somebody in the general public who buys this turd and tries to read it and goes, God, this is boring. Who the hell wrote this thing? Why is it a bestseller? Like, you don't know, and you don't know all this behind the scenes stuff, so you just chalk it up to, well, maybe it's my taste. I don't know, but this seems boring. And meanwhile, there are authors out there and books out there that could sell many books, many copies, if it was given the right marketing and prestige, but instead it's being eaten up by these sorts of books and other sorts of books that just put money directly into the pockets of these entities. It may be true too, and a lot of people have suggested the movie industry is doing something similar when it's pushing forth movies that are supposedly costing hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're not really spending that money. One of the productions that I really find suspect is The Alkalite, because they allegedly spent $180 million, I believe, on 8 episodes. That's over $20 million an episode. That show does not look like a $20 million production. I mean, you can make a whole movie on $20 million. And The Alkalite looks like a stage show. It looks terrible, in my view. It doesn't seem to have a lot of effects and doesn't seem to be very good at all. But allegedly, each of those episodes cost over $20 million each. Seems a little sus to me. But Disney may be laundering money, and again, I have no proof of this. This is just my theory. Possibly because some of their movies do actually make money. I mean, Deadpool made over $1 billion. Inside Out 2 made over $1 billion. They may have to show losses on the books, but they don't actually want to take those losses. They want to show them. So what they're gonna do, in my opinion, is overcharge, for instance, the use of their own facilities, right? They have sound stages and whatnot, and they have multiple corporations, and so it's essentially Disney renting out the soundstage from Disney, paying all this money, and then transferring it from one division to the next, paying some taxes on it, but then offsetting those taxes with losses somehow. I mean, it's going to be a complicated bookkeeping maneuver, and it's going to be something that no one in the U.S. government is going to look at, especially right now, since Bob Iger is such a huge supporter of the Democrats. And in fact, probably the Republicans won't look into it either, because they're probably throwing money to the Republicans too to hedge their bet. So it's all at the end of the day about money. And so if you're out there being discouraged that you don't have a publisher, or that you think book publishing is terrible, it's actually great. And I'll tell you why. Because right now, Amazon, for example, has made it so easy to self-publish. I mean, I can't even stand how easy it is. Literally, I'm rushing to get books done. My book for book 16 of the Pineys, I'm working on the edit right now. And the moment I get the cover in October, I'm going to put it right up for sale. Like, literally the moment. It's all ready to go. I need the cover, and I need the copyright paperwork. And I'm just waiting on both. Give it another month and I'll have it. And in the meantime, I'll edit the damn thing and have it all ready. And the moment I get those two things, boom, it goes right up on the web, and boom, I can get copies, and boom, I can sell them. And I'll sell some. I'll definitely sell some. And, I'm not selling gangbusters yet, but sales are increasing. Word's getting out there. And with each book, I claim another victory. So you can do this too. You don't have to necessarily follow a similar pattern where you're doing short novella type books like I'm doing, and it's serialized fiction, although you could. Um, you have to sort of forge your own path, your own characters, whatever. But I would suggest that you would, you know, do something that don't put all your eggs in one basket. You Even if you do one giant novel, I would suggest that you think about doing some shorter novels too. That would be of a similar vein, so you could sell books. Like I know a guy who's a horror writer. He seems to do pretty well. I think his books are a little high, but he has a publisher, so it's a little different for him. I think he should lower his prices, but if you can get the books cheap, like you can at Amazon, keep them cheap and reasonably priced, and then this way, when you pitch people and you're talking about, I mean, my books are only $9, $8.99, and you're selling them to people. It's not a huge burden, and in fact, a lot of people who buy my books because they're $9, they don't even want the dollar. They say keep the change, and you forge your own way. At some point, I hope the dam breaks, and there's just thousands of people buying the book, Pineys, and going. Someone finally goes, oh, who the hell is this guy? He's selling so many books. At that point, hopefully, that's when, for me, the worm turns, and I get approached, and maybe it's a publishing deal, maybe it's a TV deal, or whatever. And I can expand the Pineys, or maybe the dam just breaks, and I sell a whole bunch of them, and I don't know, pay off my house, and start making t-shirts. I was thinking about t-shirts today. So to end on that, what do you guys think of a t-shirt line? God, I want to do t-shirts, hats, and board games for the Pineys. I really do. Yeah, I'm really thinking of expanding, but right now the capital's not there. But someday, always got to think to the future. Always got to think. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan. Somewhere in the house. Remember, this is all just my opinion. Tune in tomorrow for the live stream, although I'm already into tomorrow. Tune in Sunday at 7 p.m. for the live stream where we do it live. Good night, and see ya tomorrow.